Welcome to the Stratford Cash Podcast. Here are your hosts, Jay and
I love Stratford Cash.
Muchas gracias, Jorge.
Thank you, George.
Often impersonated, rarely replicated, and never ever duplicated. It's the Stratford Cash Podcast.
Welcome. I'm Lair.
I am Jay.
We're your hosts tonight. Or today.
Today, National Taco Day, everyone.
Oh, it is. That's right.
Happy
It's National Taco Day. Have a taco.
Oh, man, I've already had 3.
Have you?
I have. Yes.
I've only
yes,
had
I
one
have.
so far.
Hey, speaking of 3, man, when I woke up this morning,
Yeah.
when I was writing today's stuff that we were going to talk about here, I killed 3 pins in the making of this.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 pins had to
3.
give up the ghost for today's
Man,
segment.
that's some writing.
Yeah, it was funny, man. When I sat down at my desk earlier, I did that thing. I haven't done it in a while. I thought I learned my lesson, but you know how old habits, you know, they can die hard. I sat down, and instead of, you know, putting the pen to the paper, I did that, I reverted back to what I did when I was a kid, which was, I looked around the desk, and I thought, man, this thing is filthy, you know? I found myself cleaning the desk instead of, writing. So, lesson to our listeners, if you are ever putting something off, you find yourself being a prey to the procrastination station, just do something, do anything, write something, pick up your instrument, play something. And what I have found is just by doing something, it in turn feeds into some kind of motivation, which, as we all know, leads to action. And it's not the action that leads to it, it's actually a result of your motivation.
So it's like a reflex.
There you go. So if you find yourself putting off just a task that you got to do, but you're just not exactly enthusiastic about, whether that be cracking the books, doing your homework, finishing that thing you've been putting off for a while, just start off with just do something, write a word, play a song, do something, and then you'll find yourself just by that one little action that'll spark your motivation, which will lead to inspiration, which ultimately, leads to action, and you can avoid that procrastination. So kids, it's educational. There you go. Even if you don't like episode 8 here, you can say you learned something.
And that's a valuable thing.
Yeah, it's half the battle, right?
That's right. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Hey, man, how's the traffic looking out?
Well, let me look. Well, at the moment, it looks pretty slow.
Slow traffic?
At the moment. Oh, but wait a minute. The death factor, however, seems to be a little above average today.
Ooh, the death factor, explain.
The death factor?
Death factor you speak of.
The death factor is the percentage of driving time versus imminent collision time.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, we live in one of the most, if not the most dangerous city in the world to drive in.
Yes, we do.
So we have what is known as a death factor here, and that's calculated by the number of times you almost die between your start and destination.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah,
divided by the number of miles and the amount of time.
Right. Yeah. So if you're a big believer in just chance or luck, you think that these hits that have been put out on your life are just coincidence.
No.
However, it's actually the death factor you're speaking of.
It's the death factor.
Because I experienced a little bit of that on the way over here when I was driving to the Chicken Shack earlier.
No, yeah. I just went for coffee and, man, I only had to go a half a mile.
It's a jungle out there.
They scared me to death.
It is a traffic jungle out there, I'm telling you.
Yep. And it's National Taco Day. Maybe it was because I was next door to one of those pseudo-Mexican fast food restaurants, and they were probably selling tacos.
Speaking of pseudo-Mexican restaurants, in reading about the fact that it is National Taco Day today, you will never believe what was voted as America's #1 chain taco. Who do you think?
Chain taco?
Chain taco, taqueria. No, I can't call this place a taqueria.
Dos Coyotes?
Yeah, I would think something like that. No. This publication, couldn't tell you what the publication was, but I did read this, so you know it's true on their internet. Said that Taco Bell was America's #1 Mexican franchise taco restaurant. Yes.
Is it
Yes.
even Mexican?
Just hard to believe that somebody actually thought Taco Bell. So this next segment is not brought to you by Taco Bell.
No.
If there's one thing here at Stratford Cash we do not approve of, that's calling Taco Bell Mexican food.
Yes. Yes. We highly agree on that here at Stratford Cash headquarters, and everybody in the booth. We all agree.
Right. But wasn't it Oscar Wilde who said, whenever people agree with me, I always feel like I might be wrong. But I don't feel wrong about this one. I don't think Taco Bell.
I'm not sure if it was Oscar Wilde. It could have been John Barrymore.
We'll have the boys in the booth. They don't look alive over there.
Yeah. Tonight, we have a special interlude coming up right now. We're going to do a little spot about an upcoming event of great concern to one and all. And here to talk about it for you is our good friend, Mr. Marty Taters. Marty, can you tell us what's happening?
Well, hello there. Basically, the Colonial and the Colony are going to be closing, and there's every third Thursday, so we have 2 more left.
And when are those?
One is going to be the 18th of October, and the last one is like the day before they close, and that's going to be the 15th of November, and then that's it. Yeah, in the middle of November, I think the 16th, they'll close the doors.
And where is the Colonial and the Colony located?
Well, they're on Stockton Boulevard, about 10th Avenue. I think it's 3420, something like that, off the top of my head. Anyhow, it's right a block away from Luigi's.
Okay, well, that's what's happening, folks, and come down, participate. We'll see you there. Thank you, Marty. Yeah, I almost forgot to ask what time the shows are, Marty.
It's a shame that the city is letting this place go the wayside again, kind of like they did with the Alhambra Theater.
Yes, it's been around a long time. We Stratford Cash actually love it.
Yeah.
It's a great venue.
Sign-ups for the open mic is 7:30.
Okay.
And they sign themselves up there, so I don't even put a list anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you, Marty. And like I said before, come on down, support us, and stay for the last shows of one of the historic landmarks in Sacramento. Okay. Well, thank you, Marty. And like I said before, come on down, support us, and stay for the last shows of one of the historic landmarks in Sacramento. Thank you once again. Almost all the time. But I did win a medium fry.
Today is your lucky day. I think they put a chemical in there, makes you crave for it mightily.
I think they do. I actually believe that they put something in all of the food to make you want it more and more, but at the same time to turn it into a deadly carcinogen.
Wait. You think they have poisoned our food supply?
I know they have poisoned our food supply, but I don't want to get into any kind of
conspiracy theories.
Yes, I don't want to point fingers or name any names.
Right.
I just think...
We were just talking about the weather. Anyways, plowing forward, I'd like to get to, at this point, our deep thought for the day. I know a lot of you are out there in podcast land just like hanging on pins, needles. You're just sitting at the edges of your seat. You can't wait to hear what our Stratford Cash deep thought of the day is, right? Am I right? I know you are. I can see you. You're over there like
on
just
edge.
Oh, don't worry.
Shivering.
I'll feed you, baby birds.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Imagination is a quality given to a man to compensate him for what he is not, and a sense of humor was provided to console him for what he really is.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's deep, huh?
Whoa. Mm-hmm. My head is blown.
Ooh, it just exploded. You're right. I mean, metaphorically.
Yeah, my brain is gone. It just leaked out my ear.
Have you noticed the kids are saying literally when they mean figuratively? But I hear a lot of kids,
I hear that a lot.
They'll punctuate it with literally, but it's not literal. It's
figurative.
See, and then there you go. Episode 8, the most educational podcast.
Probably on the West Coast, if not the country.
There you go. You come from the music, but you get small education in the process. And this next segment brought to you by... no, I'm just kidding. We don't have any advertising yet.
Not yet, anyway.
No.
But soon.
But I made you think we did, right?
Someday.
Yeah.
You never know.
Maybe one of these days. Our last episode, we introduced a segment called For or Against It.
Yep. If you're for it, we're against it.
Or maybe, if you're against it, we're for it. I don't know. We'll find out. But this week, this month, this podcast, we would like to talk about an issue. No, not an issue. An entity near and dear to our hearts. You know the one, Larry.
Ice cream trucks?
Ice cream trucks, yes. I don't know why I like to ask people what their favorite kind of ice cream is, but yeah, at this point, we would like to talk about ice cream trucks, not just food trucks, but ice cream trucks. You know the ones that roll through your neighborhood, you know, napping on your couch, having a nice dream. Then all of a sudden, off in the distance, you hear that it's a small world.
No,
it's the other most annoying song
it's called,
in the world.
It was written by one Mr. Scott Joplin.
Scott Joplin, I hate you, and I hope you're miserable somewhere, dead probably. But man, that
he
song,
died of syphilis. Actually.
Good. He deserves it. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah, you did.
Well, anyways,
but
I hate
he died
that
of syphilis, and it's the internationally known song for all ice cream trucks around the world. They all use that same song.
Well, I hate that song.
It's called, by some strange chance, The Entertainer.
It's not very entertaining. But it is good to be back at the Chicken Ranch.
Yep.
Chicken Shack is alive and well. Anyways, we'd like to talk about bring you yet another tale from the road. Tales from the road. Ah, good old days. Back in the days. Back when we were young. So you know how it seems like all the kids are watching the comic book movies, right? Not just the kids. Yeah. Seems like it's all of Hollywood seems to be making comic book movies, and they just can't churn them out fast enough. Mm-hmm. So one thing about the hero's journey with all of these things is you get a lot of backstory. I think that backstories have never been so popular.
I think that's true.
And so to give you some backstory, how Larry and I ultimately ended up in the same band together. What had happened years before that was I had booked some studio time in a faraway land over across the border, and I needed to fly there. And on the way there, I ended up in LAX, and I ran into a musician who I'd seen on Austin City Limits. I was so taken with this guy's guitar playing that I found his album and I listened to it. Of all people, I ran into him at LAX there, right? And to refute some of what I've read about the guy, which is weird, I wouldn't read our own reviews, but I did read a review of this guy, and this guy would just really had a lot of negative things to say about this guy. But having met him and got to know him a little bit, he's a really nice guy, and just came out with a new album yesterday. We were listening to it earlier. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Shades. Here we go. Yeah.
Shades.
It's called Shades by Doyle Bramhall II. Anyways, I was flying out to Las Vegas, and he was actually opening up for Eric Clapton that night. In flying out there, I had stayed up all night trying to finish this song. That song ultimately turned into a demo that a couple of my friends heard, and they talked me into putting a band together. And slowly we became a 5-piece. We played usually in the guitar player's living room for months and months and months, maybe a couple years actually. Then we eventually ended up playing at an open mic, and you were hosting and engineering this open mic. We had met you, and our bass player just moved up to Seattle, so we needed a bass player, and you were like, hey man, if you need a bass player, I can play bass or guitar or whatever else. And the rest is literally history.
Literally.
Not
yes.
just figuratively.
Not just figuratively.
So there you go, folks. That's the backstory as to how I met the Doyle Bramhall guy. And, on this new album there, he does a duet with My Secret Girlfriend.
Oh.
Another duet. He's actually done a few duets with Nora Jones.
Ah, yes.
He's done a few tunes with her. It's a secret because she doesn't know that she's my girlfriend.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, that's why she's
I have several secret
Oh,
girlfriends.
do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that about
Yeah.
you. Yeah, well,
They don't know it either.
I'm a big fan of her music, and he's made a few tunes with her. But he also does another tune with Eric Clapton. I mean, this guy's Eric Clapton's touring lead guitar player, and he also did. I think you and I had watched this stuff when Eric Clapton put a band together to redo all those old Robert Johnson songs. He was, the guy that he enlisted. That says a lot when both Roger Waters and Eric Clapton enlist you to be their lead guitar player in your touring band. So anyways, I think I called him a nice guy earlier. He was one of the coolest, most generous people that I've ever come across. Very supportive. Listened to a few of my tunes that I had on a cassette player. That's how long ago this was. After he asked me if I'd like to sit next to him on the plane.
Wow.
So this guy couldn't have been more generous and supportive. Didn't know me from anybody. But because I'd been up all night that night before, I was a little delirious sitting there waiting for that plane. So very kind of out of character. I asked him point blank, "Hey man, are you Doyle Bramhall too?" And he was like, "Yes, I am." And it was surreal. It was really weird. But if you want to hear a good album, check out his new album. It just came out yesterday. Shades. We have a duet with not just Eric Clapton and Nora Jones, but he does another tune with Greyhounds. That's who it is. Live Forever, which is turning out to be my personal favorite track. He did released a video for Everything You Need, which is kind of the lead single. And I'm least crazy about that track. I think that song is not my, but it's always been that way when somebody that I enjoy puts some music out. I usually don't like the radio friendly tune. That usually quickly becomes my least favorite song on the whole thing.
That's interesting.
So there you go. Tell us from the road, folks. Lara and I, we had talked about something called the wave theorem. And Lara, if you would share with our podcast listeners out there the wave theorem and how that applies to the world around us.
Well, as you probably all realize, everything works in certain ways. There are morning people who get up early in the morning and they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and can't wait to get out a bed and into the light and do everything they can. And then there's the other side of the coin, the one who gets up groggy and slow. That would be me.
Every single day.
Every single day.
As well.
Takes me a long time to get started and get going. But as the day goes on, just like in the ocean and as it is with acoustics, specifically music, there are waveforms in the human behavior as well.
Waveforms.
Those people.
You're saying wave.
Yeah, wave.
Waveforms. Okay,
Wave, as like in the ocean.
Like ocean waves.
Like
Gotcha.
an ocean wave, or in musical terms, a sinusoidal wave. Yeah, that's a technical term, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Got you with that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I've noticed through time and what I've found that scientists have discovered is that people have these energy, they work like sound waves. Their bodies operate on a wave form. And for morning, those people who get up in the morning and are running and they're ready to go as soon as their feet hit the floor, they have a lot of energy early on and they get going and they're pushing all day. But all of a sudden, they suddenly slow down.
As the sun sets.
As the sun sets, yes, that's pretty close.
The batteries are almost in the red.
Calm down. They crest and then they start to decline and they drift away into sleep. Whereas The other person, the one who starts off slow, his wave or her wave builds over the course of the day and it crests later on in the evening. So those are the people we call night people versus day people. But it is an actual wave form, and they can calculate it out, okay? They actually know how to calculate which one you are. I mean, we all know, but
Sure.
we can actually figure out to right down to the hour when your curve is going to start to crest and you'll
One way
go
or the
down.
other.
One way or the other, up or down, either way.
Yeah, I've always noticed, or have heard that. Well, I've noticed within my own kind of experience, found myself that I'm a lot more clear thinking as the night goes on, and I just feel a lot more creative. Where if you ask me to try to be any kind of creative first thing in the morning, there would just be blank. There would be absolutely nothing there. And I'm also colder. I notice that as the day goes on, my temperature becomes a lot more solid, whereas in the morning, as my consciousness is very low, my temperature also seems low. And I've read that's also a big
that's a part of
determining
it.
factor.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, your temperature.
It's not just, it's all about it's a whole body experience thing, okay? Your body is either hot or cold. Those people get up early, they're hot. They're warm as soon as their feet touch the floor. They can't wait to expend that energy. Whereas the night person has to build up to that energy level over the time. They start off with low levels and then work their way up.
I'm well versed in this night person, yes.
Yeah, I've been a night person my whole life long. But it's one of those strange things about music and human beings that seem to match up. And it's not just music, I mean creativity and the human animal.
But literally, we are, as we edit our musical tracks, and I'm thinking the digital age, most people are using waves to edit.
Yes.
Not just sound, but just about everything.
Well, sound is a wave.
Exactly. But the sound waves are what we spend hours and days and weeks working with at this point to edit our music.
Mm-hmm.
No longer tape.
No, and people are starting to want to go back to that analog sound, I've noticed here.
Yes.
And I do understand it, I do understand the reason.
Vinyl sales are 3 times that which CD sales are.
Really?
Yes, really.
And see, that's like that again, an example of the wave in the music business. Okay, we started off using acetate to record on. That was tape to record on, and then transferred it to a lacquer substance, dug it into a lacquer platter originally. Later, that lacquer platter became vinyl, but the process was still the same of digging grooves in the vinyl in order to recreate sound waves in the air through speakers. Okay. And for a while, maybe 35 years, that was it. That was the peak. Then starting around the 60s, I guess, and moving forward from there, it exploded with more and more things. It's building and still building as far as I can tell. The wave is still building as far as the creative abilities and the technology available to songwriters and other types of creative people. So I don't think we've seen it yet, but it's getting closer every minute. I mean, look at us. We're recording from a chicken ranch. Okay. 30 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible.
I think we're exploring, the all new ground. I think we're groundbreaking in this sense. I think in the future, everybody's going to be recording at some kind of chicken farm just because the vibe is so, palpable. And it's obviously, for you and I, an absolute life-changing experience, I think, to spend so much time here at the chicken ranch.
It's pretty chill.
Yes, it is.
It's pretty chill.
Well, being that this is a musical podcast, we should probably get to that music, right?
It probably wouldn't hurt.
All right. As I think we've talked about in the past, and we're going to get to an album update here later in the podcast. But we've got one last single release that we've been kind of sitting on because we recorded it, we remixed it, and we've had it ready to send out for distribution for quite a while now. Just not sure if we were going to just put it on the album exclusively or release it, but I believe we've decided that we're going to release this as a single, as our last single, but we're going to play it here for you first. So this is, and then we will give you some of the backstory on this song after you hear it here.
Yeah.
You know, a world premiere of ours. This is our full band cover of Gladys Knight and the Pips, My Imagination. I've really got to use my imagination. Anyways, we hope you like it, and we'll tell you more about it after you get a chance to check it out. So here it is, world premiere, My Imagination.
Song.
Yeah, and we're back. That was My Imagination. Actually, its real title is I've Got to Use My Imagination, I think.
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. Now, my memory of it is Gladys Knight and the Pips came out with it, I want to say like 68, 69, but
November 73.
November. Well, you know, It was a long time ago.
If memory serves, it spent a week at number 1 on the Hot Soul Singles chart in early '74, and it even peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, if memory serves.
If memory serves.
And I think it does.
I remember it made them a really big group at that point in time. Till then, they were on the, as they called them, the black charts, but not on the top 40, top 100 white charts.
Right.
Okay, the crossover. But that was the crossover song for them. It pulled them off the black charts and put them on the top 40. And for a black group at that period of time, that was awfully good.
So let me ask you why that song of all songs for you to, and this goes way, way back, because we had recorded and arranged the song as the Nuance, and it was one of the very first things that we did after we decided that you and I were going to continue making music under whatever name, and that was one of the tracks that we had not released as the Nuance. It was kind of left over from those recordings that we were working on before the band split up.
Yeah, I think it was at that point in time I was thinking more about what kind of covers we could do that would suit us with a different band.
Yeah, basically a rock band with a cello.
Yeah, and danceable. Something that I knew that would really get people up and dance. While we had some original material, we didn't have enough to fill out a full night. And in my old mind, that's the kind of repertoire you really want to have, even if you only play one set a night. You want to have 3 or 4 sets worth of music ready to go, so that as you're watching the crowd's reaction, you can go wherever they take you. If they seem to like this style more than that style, you got something to do. And your voice was that soul singer voice that I thought would work really well for Al Green, Marvin Gaye, and then Gladys Knight. I knew you and I could harmonize well enough between us to do all the enough vocals to make it sound a lot like the Pips, but not the Pips, you know?
Right.
Our own style of Motown. So that's what made me want to play the song in the first place. That and the fact that in the key you sing in, I could use the 5-string bass.
Yeah, that's
and
got
get
that
a real low bottom end on it.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about that tune.
Yeah, mine too, because that bottom end is what gets people moving.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, and it was nice having sharing a vocal. That for me is far more interesting than just singing yet another song. Actually doing a duet with somebody.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time we've done that.
Yeah, well, it was more than just a duet, because we did all the backing vocals too. Remember? Almost all of them, anyway.
Yeah, we did that Ray Charles thing where we just multi-tracked a lot of our vocals. I think we each did falsetto vocals, and you did a real low one. And I remember just doing multiple. And again, I think all the vocal tracks, excuse me, our lead vocal tracks were recorded there at Paradise.
Yes.
And then we ended up doing like choral, more backing vocals there at the Studio Del Tommy G.
Yes.
Seems like in that front room with the hardwood floors.
Yep, we did.
And the Neumann.
All crowded around that one mic.
Right. So although that will probably end up on our debut Strat for Cash album, Same Familiar Strangers, it's going to be released here soon as a single. And I said that we would get back to an album update. I think we've determined we're going to do another dozen songs. We've actually got about closer to 20 songs that are in various states of completion. And so we're basically...
At least.
Right, yeah. So we've already released, with the inclusion of My Imagination, that's 5. And we've got a dozen more that we're currently working on, one at a time, that will eventually become these Same Familiar Strangers album. And although we were hoping for a Christmas release, it's probably going to be more like a 2019 release at this point.
Yeah, I think so. That would be the safer bet right now.
Absolutely. If you were a betting person,
If
that's
you
where
were.
I would go with that.
Yep.
So we are working on it. It's just as these things do, they take time.
Yes, and effort, and a lot of effort.
Yeah, and studio time and more effort.
Yep.
So, Lair, I have an announcement to make.
You do? Oh, geez.
Yes, I do. I'm retiring.
You're retiring?
I am retiring. This is true.
What are you retiring from?
I'm retiring from the NFL next year, and I will tell you why.
Oh, please, enlighten me.
Well, stick with me here. I'm painting a picture. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture here for you.
Okay.
Despite 2 great hands and a respectable 40 time for a Caucasian, as you know, with the season well underway, another year has gone by, and I have yet again, I remain undrafted. Undrafted yet again. Despite great hands.
Yeah, well, not everybody gets that shot, Jay.
No, I'm just kidding. That's actually true. They did not draft me yet again. However, that's not why I'm retiring from the NFL. And it's not like I think that they're going to miss me, that they're going to notice. It's nothing like that. It's just that I've got to go my separate ways from the NFL. As you may know, I'm an observer of the local team here, and they're moving to Las Vegas next year. So as they leave town, I think I'm going to go ahead and not follow them to their new town. But moreover, I have seen a couple things recently that you had mentioned earlier about the conspiracy theory. I am absolutely 100% convinced now that professional football, and I'm not talking about professional Canadian, Italian, I am talking about real deal NFL football. I am convinced 100% now that it is rigged. It is predetermined. It is not an even playing field that is happening here. And just recently, because again, I only watch one game a week. I watch the local team, pretty much lose just about every week. But again, I don't call myself a fan because I'm not a fanatic. I'm an observer of this team. I got a lot of friends and family that are more of the fan type. So again, I'm pulling for them. But in watching one of these games, and when I say it's fixed, I'm not saying that the players are doing it. I'm not saying it's the coaches or the owners. No, I am saying that it is the league itself that is rigging this thing.
Okay,
and I will
was
tell
wondering.
you why. It's the officials, and they've been doing this for a while now. And I can throw some stats at you, like, okay, so right after 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Who wins the Super Bowl? The Patriots. Right after Katrina, who wins? The Saints. Okay, so we can go on and on and on like that. But just as early as last week, I watched this team. I watched my team. Okay, I watched the team that I'm pulling for. I watched these guys. They deserve to lose this game. They have not done what it takes to get another first down. And as both commentators, because it's the very final part of the game and the officials have to review this stuff, the officials overturn the call on the field, just as the commentators have said there is no way this is getting overturned. This was not even close. And as the referees overturn it to, again, extend the game, right? More game time here is how that call went. The commentator says this: well, I guess everyone decided that they wanted more football.
Whoa.
Okay, everyone wants more football. So, and as it goes, that team that got an extension went on to win the game, and they should have lost the game. And again, this is the team that I was kind of pulling for on this one. A week earlier, watching this other game, I have seen what I've never ever seen before in my life, and even the guy called it on the field a phantom call. the referee throws a flag, and as far as I can determine, the coach, the referees, everyone called it a phantom call. Now, I've heard of a phantom punch. I've never heard of a phantom call. So little things like the fact that the NFL is still operating under what is pro wrestling rules or laws, so therefore they can never be sued for fixing the outcome of these games. And, they have never paid taxes.
Never?
From the 40s, they got it written in early on. They are the only professional sport that does not pay millions upon millions of tax dollars every year. Now, I should note that is changing, or it just recently changed. And if it just recently changed, it just changed like last year. But yes, as far as I had looked into this, they do not pay taxes. And all of this stuff, it's not conspiracy theory stuff. All that stuff is just what's happened recently, or what you can find pretty quickly. But if you look into it yourself, if you see this with an open and honest heart, you will see that I am not lying. The NFL is fixed, and I'm going to watch the end of this season because I'm going to finish what I started. But after that, I'm retiring.
Oh, that's pretty deep, Dick.
Yeah, deep.
That's pretty deep, man. I applaud you for your
My conviction?
your conviction, your sense of conviction, and your sense of right and wrong in this. It's a really strong thing.
Thank you. Well, speaking of convictions,
Not me. I haven't been convicted of anything yet. That was not my wife.
we got a voicemail left on the Stratford Cash hotline here.
Oh, we do?
Yes, from my favorite convict. Speaking of convictions, Loke Dog
Loke Dog?
in the house.
In the house.
Loke Dog in the house, yeah.
Well, what did he call about?
I thought it was interesting enough that we should just go ahead and play it for our, for our listeners here.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, this is Low Dog. I'm calling you back because y'all ain't done what I asked you to do. You motherfuckers, you keep stalling. What the going on over there? I know it's you. You always me. So, get it right. First and foremost, me and the boys here, we want to hear some funky stuff. Not, we didn't ask for drinking music. We can't drink here. We is f***ing locked up. So, we can't drink. We don't want to hear no drinking songs. We want to hear something funky, something we can actually dance to. Cause we like to dance. We like to shake our and do our little, thing. This time I made them turn the phones off so you don't hear no noise. You can hear my voice just fine. So f***ing play me some f***ing music, you sons of b****s. It's time y'all learn to do what the people want. And these people here want some funky music f***ing now. So don't you do no more podcasts without putting some funk into it, you sons of b****. I'll come when I get, I gotta go now.
So on top of the voicemail that we got from our old friend Loke Dog down in Reseda.
In the house. Don't forget in the house.
Loke Dog in the house, right. We also, and we have a few different avenues out there. Like I said, I'm trying to make our presence known. That would be Stratford Cash's online presence more available than it has been. I completely agree with the criticism that we have been difficult to find online. So
Yes, I'm afraid so.
I would like to outline, even as, well, I'll tell you what happened here. We got a lengthy email from, I wouldn't call this guy a fan of ours. I would call him a listener. His name is Gus Gunderson. I hope it's okay to use his name because he used it at the bottom, so I'm assuming that he
It's
doesn't mind
okay.
if I call him Gus Gunderson. He says he's been listening from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he's a truck driver, but it sounds like he just has a lot of time to fill, more so than he thinks that were actually, worth listening to. I think that when you are on the road for sometimes, he says like 18, 24 straight hours, I can imagine, I could see myself trying to fill that time with a lot of like serious radio type stuff. So anyways, it sounds like Gus Gunderson came across our podcast and has more than a few different critiques about us. So I feel, in the spirit of full transparency here, I wanted to address Gus Gunderson's, some of his critiques, some of his observations, if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
For example, we will say things like, you can find us online at, on Instagram, but we won't actually say what our Instagram name is, right? Strapped for FOUR cash.
With is that the one with the $sign in the cash?
No
$sign.
No $sign. That
Strapped.
was the YouTube official channel.
Oh, that's right.
Right, which is where we heard from Gus Gunderson here. It was through the live chat thing.
Oh.
So it was a very lengthy live chat that I wasn't aware of until I came back to it, and Gus Gunderson had a lot to say. But yeah, we will say things like you can find us at 10th and S playing for the Marty Party, but we won't say what time we're going on. And I think that's a valid point.
Yes,
I think
it is.
Saying that we're on Instagram, but having, a unique spelling of Stratford Cash, we're making it frustrating for people that might be trying to find us. And apparently we have frustrated this guy. I think if I printed this thing out, it would have came to like 9 pages or something of criticism this guy had for us. Gus Gunderson.
No.
But it sounds like he's coming from a place of not love.
Almost respect.
Just hypercriticism. I think that's no. I again, I don't know. He has listened to all of them because he made a lot of references, like a lot of references to like little details in podcasts gone by here. So this guy's listened closely. Yeah, and he's listening live, and apparently he's trying to call a couple times. We have not given out the phone number, which is, a said hotline. That is also a valid argument, a point, I guess, that he's making. Little things like that.
Yeah, we really need to address those things.
Exactly.
At some time.
So we're going to do that for you, Gus Gunderson, sometime. Not right now, but at some time. Yeah. But to address, for those of you looking for us on Facebook, we are the Strap for Cash Project. And I think that my favorite medium, I really should be getting some kind of kickback from Spotify here.
I think so.
Because I haven't been endorsing them from early days. But yeah, that's still my favorite medium. They give us the most interaction with our artist profile, with our music. Spotify has been good to Strap for Cash in that sense, whereas iTunes and Amazon and YouTube, they just get our music distributed, and we don't have a lot of say-so after what happens with it once it goes out for distribution.
Yeah, once they get it, we're out of the loop.
But Spotify, they
actually communicate with us.
Check us out on Spotify. You can find the Strap for Cash playlist on the Spotify there. The Strap for Cash playlist includes the Key Look at Time song that we played for you last podcast. It will have the Swan song, which is what we're going to play for you at the end of this podcast. And it has all of our singles that we released to date, the 3 singles. So check us out on Spotify at the Strap for Cash playlist for not just the Strap for Cash singles, but the Nuance tunes that we have also included on the last couple podcasts here.
They're good songs.
It's a good song.
Right, so Gus Gunderson, I hope that helps. I hope we're not trying to be cryptic or elusive. Far from it, which is the whole point of this podcast. We are trying to reach out and make this an interactive experience, because the music is now a total experience and not just an auditory experience anymore.
That's right. There'll be more podcasts for you to critique for us, and keep contacting us, and for those listeners out there, remember, Strap for Cash is not just a clever name. Buy our music, please. Pay for the download, please. please. We need the cash. But as always, we forge ahead.
Maybe it's getting warm again. I don't
Oh,
know. Hey, speaking of warm,
Well-
how is the weather looking?
The weather? Yeah, well, the weather outside is, hold on.
Okay, I'm holding. Yeah. Oh, hey, be careful. Dead flies. Yeah. I know. Wait for it.
Well,
Wait for it.
oh man.
Wait for it.
It's bad.
Bad.
It's bad.
Bad. Oh my god.
It's, icky.
No bueno.
Icky.
No bueno. There you go, folks. Yet again, it's icky, it's bad, it's no good out there.
It's bad
It
out
sucks
there,
again.
man. There's a wind blowing grunge into the air, and my eyes are burning now. So yes, folks, welcome to the valley.
River City, Tree City. You gotta love this place, right?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. The weather is almost always predictable.
Predictably bad. It sucks again, folks. Plumbing ahead, we're gonna go ahead and leave you with one last tune here. This was the very first song that we finished recording. I think it was the longest song on the Intricate Simplicity album.
It is
that
the
you and I
longest
recorded as the Nuance. So we tackled it first. It comes in at almost 6 minutes. But I think when I heard the playback to this, everything, and we did a lot of pre-production on that album. We had played a lot of those songs live over the course of a couple of years, working out the arrangements. We just put a lot of time into that album. So to finally get to a point where we could hear the playback on the first song, and to hear when the slide guitar and the B3 Hammond, when those kicked in, I knew that we were on to something. That was the first time that I heard or experienced that you and I actually could do something if we could kind of duplicate ourselves, if you could not just be playing the bass, and if I could play more than just the acoustic guitar, the music that you and I could make, a huge light bulb went off at that point for me. So it was kind of working on the Swan Song that I realized that you and I could make music that, although it reminded, I heard a lot of Pink Floyd references. A lot of people seem to think that that's what we were going for, but it also sounded not like we were ripping off Pink Floyd.
No, because we really weren't attempting to sound like Pink Floyd at all. We were attempting to sound majestic at times.
Yeah, that was
okay. For me, the song was that song especially is a suite, if you will. And it takes you through several different changes before it takes you home.
Yeah, and even when you get home, it's the last track, and even when you think the song is over, shift into an outro that you had brought, said, hey, we need to do an outro here that gets people moving up again. We don't want to end on a big bummer. So that final outro, that jam there at the end, that was all you. Upon multiple listenings, I think that had been one of my favorite parts of the song. Part where I didn't have to sing anymore and I could just play guitar.
Yeah, I know that feeling too well.
Yeah.
Well,
so this is our Swan Song for now. Thank you for listening. We will be back soon
with number 9.
With number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
And we have been Lair.
And I've been Jay.
So we'll see you next time.
And we're still strapped for cash.
I love Strawberry Cat.
It's a good song.